Dear students, let us start our journey towards the preparation of the upcoming JRF, NET and Assistant Professor's exam. So, unlike the university exams where you have to write the subjective answers, these exams require you to solve the objective questions. Both type of questions require the different type of skills, and I believe that you all understand the level of the competition that exists for NET, JRF and these posts. And as political science is one of the most popular subject, of course the scale of the competition in terms of the number of students appearing is high. So our aim should not be just clearing NET, but our aim should be to become the JRF scholar. So you require some special skills to solve the objective type questions. At times, objective type questions, they are requiring more depth of knowledge. They require more conceptual understanding. They require certain skills, your ability to compare, your ability to differentiate, means lot of logical thinking is required. Otherwise, in the theory question, which are not based on facts, which involve lot of concepts, you can do the mistake if your concepts are not clear. So from time to time, I would like to tell you the skills that is needed to solve the objective questions. Today, I will take one sample question from Hobbes, and I will tell you how you should be preparing the questions and what should be your thought process. It is not enough for you to know the things. For example, Hobbes said what? What is philosophy? Go deeper and find out why of things. Your studies are never complete if you just know what. You also need to know when, where, why and how of anything. Try to understand any idea from the holistic perspective. So now let us understand this particular question, deconstruct it and understand what should be your method of preparation. This is the same idea you can apply in the preparation of your general studies for civil services. Deconstruct the question, look at the different aspects of the question, just see how will you arrive at the right choice, how will you develop those skills and those methods. So the question here is from Hobbes: which of the following statements is incorrect with respect to Hobbes? So at times students also do the mistake, they may not read it correctly, it is incorrect or correct. So be careful. Nobody can afford to be callous or careless. Fine. So now this question was asked in 2015. Obviously, you all are to be very thorough with Hobbes. Why? Because Hobbes is called as the greatest philosopher as well as the greatest author of English literature, the greatest philosopher English race has ever produced. And if I ask you this particular question, we remember Hobbes for what? What is his biggest contribution? His biggest contribution is the theory of the sovereignty of the state. So you should know, you should have a clarity over the Hobbesian theory of the sovereignty. So now let us see the question. The question is, find out the incorrect statement. So first thing is, a state of nature in Hobbes was pre-political and pre-social. So you should know state of nature is a concept used in the theory of social contract. There can be n number of questions from this word itself. Means, what is the meaning of this? Is it a historical entity? Is it a conceptual framework? Fine. So keep on thinking on those lines. Now, pre-political and pre-social, I have seen students are very confused. It is very simple. So pre-political means before the origin of the state. Pre-political means before the origin of the society. From the words you should derive the meaning. Fine. So it means whether in the state of nature of Hobbes, state was absent and society was absent, it is correct, because Hobbes says that by the single contract both society, government and state was created, for which he uses the term commonwealth. Now too, it is not enough to know and remember. You should also know how not to get confused. So at the same time, in your mind, you should ask the question, if this is the view of Hobbes, what is the view of Locke? What is the view of Rousseau, the another social contract thinker? So if we compare it with Locke, Locke's state of nature is only pre-political and not pre-social. So in the state of nature of Locke, what we see, there is a peace, goodwill, people are enjoying natural rights. When can they enjoy natural rights? Of course, when society is existing. So Locke's book is on the theory of government and not on the creation of society. So if you will link one thing with the other, what will happen? You will not get confused. Okay, so this is a correct statement, but we have to find incorrect. So let us see the next question. Now, sovereign was a party to the contract. Means, is sovereign under the obligation? So if we will study Hobbes's Leviathan, we find that he writes that sovereign is not under the obligation of the contract. Rather, sovereign is a beneficiary of the contract. That is why sovereign is all powerful. There are no limitations on the power of sovereign. That is the reason Hobbes is called absolutist or greatest of all absolutist. The only exception is a common sense exception, and that is right to self-preservation, which is a very common sense. Otherwise, sovereign in Hobbes is beneficiary. Remember this word, beneficiary of the contract and not party to the contract. Whereas if we compare with Locke, in Locke, government is a trust. They are under the conditions of the contract, and if government does not follow the contract and tries to take away right to life, liberty and property in Locke, he gives right to revolt. Okay, so B is wrong. So we got our answer, but let us see for the purpose of preparation other two options also. Fine. So human nature was dominated by acquisitive instinct. So acquisitive instinct means man wants to acquire, man wants to possess the property. So man is possessive by nature. Fine. So you understand, Hobbes is a scholar of which class? The capitalist class. Capitalism stands for private property. So any capitalist scholar will justify that the love for property is natural, inherent in human nature. Fine. So what Hobbes says? Hobbes says that man is by nature possessive. Man wants to possess property. Why man is possessive? Because man is utilitarian. There can be a question. man is possessive because what? Man is utilitarian. So in Hobbes, we see the beginning of utilitarianism in political philosophy, and he says that possessiveness, power seeking nature of man is inherent in the utilitarian nature of man. Fine. So man is possessive, makes man power seeking animal. Fine. So this is obviously correct, and you should relate it from the perspective of the scholar of the emerging bourgeois class, justifying right to property also. Okay. Now, and you can also include life is a property of an individual, and so what Hobbes says, that needs to be protected because life is a source of happiness and man is utilitarian. Now, man in the state of nature was solitary, nasty, brutish and short. So it's a very well-known statement of Hobbes, that Hobbes believed that in the state of nature, the life of man was solitary, nasty, brutish and short. This description of the state of nature is influenced by the anarchy that was prevailing during his time, and by first establishing human nature and by establishing the state of nature as brutish and short, he builds his philosophy of state sovereignty and establishes that state should be given absolute right. Otherwise, it will not be established, it will not be possible to preserve the life and property. And so, what he suggests, that we have to create an absolute state. Along with this statement, another famous statement of Hobbes is, man has only two options, either to live under the absolute anarchy or under the absolute state. Hopefully, more than getting the right answer, you are getting the right skills.